Welcome back, everyone. This is MandoAllDay, back with another video. And in this video, I'll be doing an overview of the Megafig Fulcum Abominus. I believe that's how you pronounce it. This is from the Dark Knight's metal storyline. I'll be talking about the figure itself in terms of the articulation, sculpture, and paint, and if it's worth your purchase or not. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button to not support channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. So let's take a look at the front of the box. This side, the back, which looks really cool. The other side, top, which is pretty heavy, and bottom. Alright, now let's take a look at the figure outside the box. As always, they do come with a card. This is the front of the card looks like. The back of the card. And it comes with no accessories, sort of. The accessories are put on, but I'll just show you in a bit. And it comes with a regular stand. So let's take a look at this weird, abnormal figure that, let's be honest, this is something that only McFarlane would do, because McFarlane does crazy stuff, and he did another crazy stuff like this. So let's take a look at this figure, and I laugh because this is so like weird and out there. You can see McFarlane do something like this, but I don't know, I just get cracked up. But anyways, let's take a look at this figure. Let's talk about the head sculpture. The paint, I like the paint. It has that, well, for one, that sculpture, it has little scuff marks on there, like battle damage, or I like. You can see that little bit of the mouth on there. It's supposed to be robotic. And you got head articulation, left to right's good, up, down, good. The paint, I like about it because it's not a solid color. Obviously, with the light, you can see a little bit of like a little bit of glitterish, per se, silver. So it's like, it looks like it's underneath it silver, bright silver. And it was painted over with another coat of what, maybe like a matte or like brown, dark brown or something like that. It's kind of hard to explain, but I like it because when you shine a light on it, it really does look bright and it looks really cool. And I really dig this head sculpture. Very simple, clean looking design, very robotic, but it looks cool. You got more like that. Sorry, there you go. More design back there as well too in terms of the sculpture design. So overall though, I dig the head sculpture. It looks very robotic, like a Batman. It looks cool. It is weird, but it looks cool, man. I really dig it. For, you know, usually what I do with overviews, I usually do like the articulation, paint, and then give you my opinion. For this particular figure, I'm going to talk about articulation first, everything, and then talk about everything else in terms of the paint and sculpture because it has so much going on with it. But let's take a look at the articulation. So articulation in the arms, it's good. Biceps, there's none, but there is just, it's a little stiff. Mine is right now, but be wary of that. Torso, there is very, like pretty much non-existent, unfortunately. Leg articulation, there is, just mine's very stiff. Knees, there is knees. And then ankles, there is ankles. And unfortunately, no toes. There is also articulation here in the little chainsaws right here. So if you want to have a certain look to it, there you go, you can have that. And I noticed too on here, you can, I don't want to say you can articulate it, but you can actually move it around. I don't know if you guys can see the joint on here. Sorry about that. There's a joint on there too. You guys can see it. So you can actually play around with it. So you want to have a certain look, you can have it. So there's just that. And of course the back. The back has, there's accessories that it comes with, not really accessories, but you can actually put these wings on there. You can actually remove them if you want it, or you can actually move it around. So if you want to have a certain look, right, from the front view, you can do that. You can maybe want to do like a vampire type of thing, or you want to do something crazy. I don't know. Play around with it though, but just has that for articulation. So in terms of the articulation overall, it's good. It is limited on torso. Leg articulation is there. It's just, mine's pretty stiff. Knees good. Toes good. There is no bicep, but there is elbow. But I will say though, the elbow, be careful because mine is pretty stiff. A buddy of mine, my coworker, also has this figure, and same thing. His elbows are pretty stiff, so just be careful of it. I don't know if it's like a certain badge, but his came very stiff with elbows, so keep that in mind though. But overall though, articulation, I gotta say it's doable, it's passable. And for a figure like this, I think it's fine. Now, let's talk about the big thing on here. Well, there's two big things. One is going to be the sculpture. You know, I'll talk about the sculpture after, because that's going to take me a while. So, I'll talk about the paint. The paint job, I like the paint job. We got the Superman logo on here with that blue, and I like how that red It kind of has like a battle damage to it as well too in terms of sculpture, but also the paint, it's like a brush paint, which I really, really like. And when you shine a light on it, it has a nice bright silver underneath it. Looks very good. Similar on here on the blue as well too. Where you shine a light to it, you can see all that little glitter on there. But it also has a brush on there too of blue, which I really, really like. And then on the arm, so much going on in terms of the paint. You got a little bit of red on there with the gear, red on there as well. But also it has that nice bright silver to it. It looks really good. When you shine a light on it, it just looks badass and grabs your attention. And I really dig it. The paint on the other arm, very, very, very matte. And I like that because this one's more bright. And when you have light on it, it really does shine. But when you have this side, it has a matte look to it. And I like it because it gives it that style. And also, it gives it, how can I say it? It's not everything all bright. It really blends in very well. And I really dig it. You got that matte yellow on here too. You got some brush on here as well. You got that same kind of like look on here. Also present here on the arm. Or the forearm, I don't even want to call it. You got the red on here. And then you get more of that scuff mark on there in paint. I don't know if it's by purpose, which I think it is on by design. But it has like parts on here where the paint is chipping on there. Which I really, really like. Then you got the legs. So let's start off with the right thigh or his left thigh. You got that matte green on there, but also has that kind of glitterish silver, which I like. Again, little details like this on this paint, when you shine a light to it, it just looks really, really, really cool. And I dig it. I like that matte green on there too. Then you have that matte yellow, similar to the arm, which looks really, really good. And again, it has that brush, like dirtiness, gray color paint to it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it just looks like it's all like, if you worked in a factory before, you know what I'm talking about. It's all dirty, all greased up. And then the other thigh is going to be the Flash logo, matte as well too. But again, you got that color on there, silver. Then you got more red on here as well too, matte look. But then again, when you shine a light to it, there you go. Then you have the feet and the back. Underneath it, all this like armored layer. Then you got all that regular like gray, dark gray kind of look to it. So overall, in terms of the paint job, I think this is fantastic, man. Fantastic paint job. I really like the paint job. I like I said, that brush look to it. And again, just that brush all over the places. Looks really cool. And like I said, having this kind of paint on there, which just looks like it's dirty, it just adds more to it. And it gives it more style to the actual being a robotic type of figure though. And to me, I think the paint job on this is fantastic. Fantastic paint job on this figure. And I really dig it. Now let's talk about the obvious, the sculpture design. Whew, okay, here we go. This sculpture design is, holy shit, this is so much sculpture. Okay, so we'll start with the helmet. Looks good, looks clean. You got more detail on here, around the neck. Then you got that chest plate. Just look at all of that detail, the sculpture design. Just look at the sculpture, not the paint. All that sculpture. Just look at all of that detail on there. Like that vent right there. All of that detail. Little things like this just look, it makes the figure look so, so good. More sculpture design right there too. Then you got the little armor piece right here on the shoulder. Another texture to it. And then underneath it you can see the joint, which is fine. But I really dig it, man. You got that battle damage look to it. The scuff marks on there. Same in the other side. I really dig the shoulder pieces. Look fantastic. Take a look at the back. The back looks fantastic as well too. You got almost like the skeleton or the spine of the robot. So much detail. Let's see if we can get a better view on it. There you go. You can see that. All of that detail. Like, it just looks fantastic, man. You got more of like, I don't know what you want to call them, pipes or whatever this is right there. Or cords or whatever it is. But you get all this sculpture design. Just looks fantastic, man. This is just, again, torso, upper torso. Then you get to look at the arms. Look at this arm. Just look at all of that detail. Battle damage, scuff marks, the paint. Then you got more detail on here inside the arm. You got more detail on there too as well. And of course, that big gun right there. Looks fantastic, man. McFarlane nailed this figure. And you get more design right there too. Let's see if I can move it around. There you go. You guys can see better. There you go. Just more of that sculpture design right here. Look at all this. Look at all this. This just looks fantastic, man. Just fantastic. Just all of this detail. Just looks top notch. Now let's take a look at the other arm. And I like the arms are different. So this one, you can see kind of like the gauntlet on here of Batman. And this one, you got kind of like a shield for Wonder Woman. And let's talk about it. Because again, so much detail on this wall. On this other arm as well too. Here you go. You guys can see more right there. There you go. More of that sculpture design, the scuff mark. Then you got that same kind of style here. Also present on there underneath this yellow armor. Just looks fantastic, man. That claw and all the scuff marks on that claw just look awesome, dude. Just fantastic. And you got more design right there. Just more sculpture design. Just look at all that. Look at all that. Come on. You have to admit, McFarlane really nailed this figure, man. Just looks amazing. And again, this is just the arm and essentially the upper body. Then we got to talk about the legs. The legs also have so much detail. And this leg, you don't have the Flash logo, but you got that sculpture design on there too. And underneath it, you can see it. My light can't really, or you can kind of see it inside. But you got more sculpture design underneath there. And you got more of the underneath layer of the armor detail on here. And you can see that big bolt right there too. More design here on the back. Just looks fantastic. Then you have the leg, I mean the boot, I guess you could say. Just look at that armor piece. Just looks so much detail on here. Just look at that. Tell me that don't look badass. Tell me that don't look bad. Then there's also the feet. The feet also is very stylized as well too. Just look at all the sculpture design detail. Just looks fantastic, man. Fucking awesome, dude. And that's just the left leg or the right leg. Then you got the other leg where you got that Flash logo on here, Flash armor. And I like about it, it's different. That's what makes this figure really, really cool, is because it's different size, so it gives it more style. This one has a regular kind of like a knee pad. This one has like a Batman knee pad. This one just has his armor piece. This one has his saws on here, or the blade, I should say. You can articulate. And of course, the feet are different too. This one has like a claw. This has like a regular robot leg. But just look at all this detail. Just looks amazing, man, on the sculpture design. Like, this is just fantastic. And I'm telling you, you have to see it in person. If you don't, you're going to miss out, man. This just looks amazing. And when you look at everything as a whole, Jesus, man, McFarlane did a really good job with this figure. He really nailed this figure. The sculpture, the paint, articulation is limited here and there. But for the most part, though, the paint job and the sculpture design is fantastic. Now, of course, the main question is this worth your purchase? So do you go out there and get this for 40 bucks? Honestly, for $40, for everything we're getting, I think this is easily worth the price of 40 bucks. You get a good sculpture design figure. The paint job is really good too. You got a lot of detail. Again, especially in the sculpture. Articulation, yeah, it's limited here and there. But apart from that, everything else just looks fantastic. And let's be honest. Did Mattel ever make something like this? Would Mattel ever made it? When Mattel had the license for DC figures, did they make something like this? I'm being a serious question, because I started collecting when McFarlane made the DC Multiverse, and serious question to those of you who collected Mattel. Has Mattel made something like this? Maybe that's not this particular figure, but something this weird and abnormal, more importantly, very detailed and painted. Serious question, leave it in the comment section below. So of course, to answer the question, is this worth it? In my honest opinion, yes, this is definitely worth it. This gives a thumbs up for me. For 40 bucks, you get a lot of sculpture, good quality paint. Well, I don't know about quality paint, it's going to last a long time, but you get what I'm saying. The paint job is good. As I mentioned, articulation is somewhat limited. But apart from that, though, this just looks awesome. And just having a display with other figures, it just grabs your attention to where, like, what the heck is this? Because you want to see what it is. And the more you look up close, the more you really appreciate all of this detail. And like I said, for 40 bucks, I think it's a fantastic deal. Thumbs up for me. I think even 45, in my opinion, is still a fantastic deal for this figure. But overall, thumbs up for me on this one. Here we have MandoAllDay, the Megafig, and of course, this big one, the Abominus, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Megafig, to show you in terms of the comparisons, in terms of the height, and of course the width. This is a really cool figure. I like it, but if you were to ask me which one I prefer, I'm going to go for the Robotic Justice League one. I think it looks really, really good. Don't get me wrong. I like MandoAllDay. I think MandoAllDay looks cool. But having all this detail in this figure, in my opinion, I think it's fantastic. And yeah. So overall, both look good, but I would go with this one more. Here we have Kalibok, the Megafig, which I made a video not long ago, and of course the Abominus Megafig robotic one. They both look good, but I will say though, I said like in the video, this one, the upper body just feels very thin, so be careful with this one. This one, even though there's like a lot of parts to it that are very thin, it doesn't feel as thin as this one, if that makes any sense. But I'm not hating on this figure. I like this figure, don't get me wrong. I think it's really, really cool, especially that head sculpture. But something that I noticed right away for Kalibok is that the upper body, the torso, just feels a little thin to where I feel like if I hit it with certain pressure, it's going to crack it. But this one, it really doesn't. I thought this was going to be more kind of cheap plastic, but it actually feels pretty good. But nonetheless, so there you go for comparisons. Here we have Swamp Thing, the Megafig from the GameStop exclusive, and of course, Abominus Megafig. And you can see Swamp Thing is really, really tall compared to Abominus. And just showing you difference in terms of the height, of course, the size of it and thickness of it. Really, really good looking figure. And you know, just so you guys can see how high, or how tall it is, not high, how tall this Abominus is compared to Swamp Thing, there you go. So when you're standing them side by side, there you go, you guys can see how tall Swamp Thing is versus how tall Abominus is. And he meets him essentially up to his chest. So if you have Swamp Thing and you want to know Abominus' height, if you have Swamp Thing, it's up to his chest right here, and there you go. Here we have Cyborg from the Teen Titans wave, which I believe is like the only figure they made so far, which I think is such an underrated figure. But nonetheless, so you got Cyborg and of course Abominus and Megafig, kind of two robotic per se figures, but just showing you the difference in terms of the height and how they look kind of sitting next to each other. Again, they both look good, but come on, just look at that difference, man. It just looks really, really dope. Here we have Damian Wayne, and I just brought him just for you guys can see in terms of the height difference. So if you have, again, similar to Swamp Thing, if you have Damian and you want to see how tall this one is, well, there you go. You guys can see the difference in terms of the height. And both look good, but of course, Megafig is a Megafig, and when you compare it to Damian Wayne, well, Damian Wayne is tiny, and he reaches up to his, what is it right there? It's going to be his, basically his crotch. So if you have Damian, the crotch of this figure, Damian is as tall as this figure's crotch. Sounds weird, but there you go. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys agree with this figure, if you plan to purchase this figure, leave it in the comment section below. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the support channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. Then includes an overview of the Megafig Fulcum Abominus from the Dark Knight's Metal Wave or storyline, and on to the next one.